Hi, Councilwoman. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Max?
I'm all right. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the ongoing budget process in Camden. And you issued a statement calling for the council to not give the mayor a salary based on the stagnation of the budget locally. Could you tell us a little bit why you did that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right, the budget is a very important piece of the infrastructure on how the city, runs and governs itself. And so, without that, it's pretty hard to be able to, make sure that streets are clean, that, parks are, clean and safe, and also that, the city's bills are getting paid. And so, I feel very strongly about this. And, it's one of the essential functions of a mayoral position, in partnership and collaboration with its governing body, meaning council. And so, if Camden can't pay, if the mayor can't pay Camden's bills, then why should we pay the mayor's bills? And so it's pretty much that simple. Poor performance doesn't get recognized, and so that's where we are now.
So, what was the reaction by the council to your call for them to issue that resolution? And then, where is the budget process at present?
So I recommended for the resolution to be put onto the agenda. It has not yet been put on the agenda to date. What started this cause for me was the fact that the Department of Community Affairs of New Jersey sent a letter explaining to us that we've already asked for 3 extensions to date, and so far have not turned in or submitted a budget. For me, that was obviously a red flag, right? And so it just goes on to linger for the last several months, even, starting as early as when the firefighter unions reached out to me and had some questionable, challenges and concerns regarding, their own budget, right, and the future state of their department. And so that's where it initially started, right, trying to understand, where that lied in the middle of a, campaigning season. And so being able to get the fire department, along with several other people who began to, jump in and get involved into that cause, to meet with the administration, to be able to at least have some and engage in some basic conversations, was something that started that ball rolling. And so, you would have thought that that's where the job ended, right? But, as we go on to understand that there's coronavirus money coming in, approximately 67 million or more. In addition to that, the funding that, is provided by the state, which is 67%, Max. And so when you think about that, and you think about the extra funding that's coming from President Biden's coronavirus plan, you really do start to think into, the state of the city and its operations and what needs to be improved, what has been lacking for the past, 2 decades or so. And how innovative we need to be into the 21st century to addressing the needs, the challenges that exist for our communities as they have existed for the past several years, but more now that, we have this pandemic, navigating and really navigating all of our lives. And so, it's just very important. It's the budget. It's what governs us as a city. We need a healthy city, and we need to be financially healthy. And the fact that the State Department sent that letter, and that it also poses a threat to our financial stability, it's just a concern that, every resident should have.
Yeah. Councilwoman, pardon me, has the mayor issued a statement, or has he given any reason for the delay?
There's no reason for the delay. We brought it up into discussion at caucus. I've been hearing a lot of things from administrations, such as, I don't know. We have to repropose, or we have to amend this resolution because we did not put into the account the budget, nor, the previous year's budget. And so, those are key words to me that stand out as it relates to, fiscal management, and just as administrative management overall. And so, that's deeply concerning for me, not just as a councilwoman, as a resident, as a homeowner, as a mom with a family, with children who, often, go through the challenges of taking care of her own household. And so these are 2 households that I have to take care of now, my own with my family and the city. And so, this is really what my job is to do, to, put pressure and to make sure that the administration partners with the community, that the community has a voice, and is a partner in building the budget, because no one knows more than the community itself what it needs from its city government. And so, So that's where we are with that.
Councilwoman, now the city council has attempted to give the responsibility of Camden's budget to the county and met with resistance from Sheila Oliver at the Department of Community Affairs. Are you seeing any relationship between the budget delay and efforts by the council to give that responsibility away? In other words, is the council and the administration looking to prolong this so that they eventually can give over that responsibility to the county?
And so thank God for the state's intervention, that was halted for the moment, and I haven't heard any, conversations from the administration moving forward on that. However, there's a lot of other conversations we haven't heard from administration too, right? And so, to me, that only signals how important it is, again, to make sure that the budget is formed and that allocations are made appropriately to departments so that residents' quality of life can be, enhanced. And so, on this agenda currently, we have a walk-on for the budget appropriations, temporary emergency appropriations. We also have a second item that's on a budget with a shared service agreement between City of Camden and County of Government for infrastructure and emergency road, repairs. And so it's things like that that I want to look more into, just to make sure that, again, the allocations are being made appropriately to the city's departments and how it functions, not just with its personnel, but with its overhead costs and, equipment and material, in addition to personnel. And really, what data are we looking at in the city to even, put together a plan of what the needs are of the community, as a councilwoman of Fourth Ward, and engaging with residents and being a part of numerous projects and planning strategies and community outreach and, constantly being out in the community, through, Little League or just parent advocacy or just, juvenile advocacy. I am intimately, familiarly and aware of the needs of the Ward 4 communities. However, has a city, is a city at a state where it has data to back that information up? And how are they addressing that through their budget and its allocations being made? And I think those are important, simple questions that the residents, ask. And so, we live by those decision-making skills every day in our personal lives. And so the fact that we have to, make these decisions on a city level is something that should be almost, second nature to us in our positions.
You ran for mayor this year. How have you found readjusting to life on the council with this new administration, an administration whose executive you opposed by running for mayor yourself? Have you noticed any backlash?
So I've worked through various different administrations, beginning from my 8 years of school board governing, even with the local control into state partial, full state, and back into, half partial and half local control. And I've been able to, agree to disagree with many administrations. And, that was something that, they all, loved and admired. And so, this is not the first time, right? Agree to disagree. But again, this is like Forrest Gump, right? Stupid is as stupid does. The machine is going to continue to run the same playbook that they have for the past 30 years. Intimidation, fear, threats, mob-like mentality, and those are the things that we're dealing with. And so, for me as a councilwoman, as a mother, as a wife, as a community leader who continues to, make sure that, our families' resources are being met, and that they are, mentally, emotionally, and physically remaining healthy through everything that we're all dealing with, I think it's important to stay consistent with the work, stay involved in the community, really advocating and bringing up to light the causes, involving the community in all those processes. I just think it's something about awareness and education that is very important in my role as councilwoman. And those are the things that I seek to do, have done, and will continue to do.
People fear this mayor coming in and being a rubber stamp for the county Democratic organization. They also feared that he would not be accountable and present. Have you found that he's actually surprised anyone, or has he fulfilled people's worst fears in your judgment?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think, people, right, when we're in the voting booth, we have this sense of hope, right, for the person that we're voting for. But let's remember that, only approximately 5% of the population voted, right, approximately 3,000 votes. And that ended up in a 60 to 40% voter turnout. And so, again, let's not forget about, the suppression that exists with voting in Camden City, and in particular in Camden City, and all the challenges that exist. And so, while we're continuing to work on those things, I mean, this is sort of like the same playbook that the Democratic establishment has played for the past 30 years. And so for me, it's not surprising. For a lot of members out there, it's not surprising. But, for the ones that are loyal, then, it is what it is, right? And so with that being said, and regardless of all those differences that exist, it's important to hold the mayor accountable, and not just this one, right? All of them, and all of our local governing officials. There's just a very important piece to governing people, and I think with the pandemic so vivid and alive, it's really allowed us to be in a space where we're focusing on those ideologies.
What's the deadline for the budget this season?
I wish I knew. I haven't even seen it yet. And so, I've now seen this as they're trying to walk it on and, rush it through. But, it doesn't look exciting to me. It's very vague. There are a lot of extra questions that I have, and I'm looking forward to pushing in on those things. And so, I'll keep doing that. And if, that means that more political pressure comes with that in my, personal life and outside of that, those are things that I'm already and willing to, take on alongside the community. And so, one thing I've done in my approximately 12 years of governing is I've, lived out loud. I've allowed the public to kind of go on this journey along with me. And so that will continue. And so, the fact that, my family is now, we're working together in addressing the city's budgets, issues, and concerns, and the governance and community involvement and engagement, and the voices of our people being incorporated. We're looking forward to continue to still do that, in the public's eye and view, and allowing them to, continue to take part in that journey.
Councilwoman, you mentioned COVID-19. What are Camden's specific challenges now related to combating the virus? And also, momentarily, the governor is expected to issue a mask mandate for children in schools, and you're a mother. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, great question, Max. I mean, as a councilwoman, I also recommended a resolution to go to 75% capacity for council meetings, and allowing 2 additional options of opening up a inflatable TV screen for outside, so that once we reach 75% capacity, and also allowing for the lobby area to serve for, handicap and ADA, accessible residents, so that they are able to, remain comfortable and still participate in their civic duty. And so, the D variant is a worry for some people. And so, we'll continue to advocate, to go back into session as other, cities in the state have done. As far as parenting wise, I mean, I'm home with the kids, right? And so, summer camp was kind of weird this summer. It wasn't a full summer camp. It was, half a day, a lot of restrictions in place. And so, as a parent, you're trying to find that stability and normalcy in life. And it's really hard when you have, all these factors contributing, to being able to even, manage on a day-to-day schedule, right? And so mask mandates, I mean, I have a 5, 6, and 12-year-old. My 12-year-old, has gotten accustomed to online learning. She's done exceptionally well, even though I'm looking forward to her gaining her social life back and going to school. And so for her, I feel like she's a little bit more mature at this point, and just making sure that, mentally and emotionally, that she, stays grounded. For my 5 and 6-year-old, them were in a mask, they're very active. So I worry for that. I worry for the school community, the teachers, the vaccination rates. I know that there's still a, high vaccination rate that needs to be covered in Camden City, concerned about, the outreach and being able to, convince or, to get resources to resident stores appropriately and timely for school opening. And so, I'm excited that school's opening. I feel like we can get to some normalcy in navigating a month schedule. However, there are, deeply concerns about the logistics that surround that, and, the worry of when is the next outbreak. If I decide to go back to work, will I then have to come back, home and stay with the kids, and what kind of financial and emotional damage that, gives to women, right? And so, not just family households, in addition to family households, but in particular women and the women workforce, which is something that, we're still behind in. And there are a lot of, opportunities that lie there, especially now with the pandemic. But, I don't really hear much voices about that nowadays. So
Is it fair to say that you have questions about it and want to be flexible, but that you support the mask mandate, recognizing that it'll help kids be safer among themselves in school? Is that a fair?
Absolutely. But I also wonder the capability of the youth and being able to, continue that mandate, right? We're talking about young kids here who are used to moving. They're not used to having masks. They're, for their emotional development, they need to move around. They need to socialize. And so what does that new socializing and mobilizing look like for them? And, are our young people even, capable of doing that, as it relates to, the human growth theory? So it's really, it's tough to tell. It's tough to navigate. It's tough to pinpoint whether, but one silver bullet doesn't, fix everything. And so I think there's still a lot of work to be done there. I mean, I would prefer a lot more options, but, again, understanding the economy that's at stake, the job loss, the mental health state that we haven't even begun to collect data on or address or bring awareness to. And so, as a mom, I'm just rolling with the punches as they go. But vaccination rates are, at the hedge of all this. So I really think it's important for, residents to get vaccinated.
Councilwoman Felicia Reyes Morton, we so appreciate your time. We pray for your safety and the safety of your family and for Camden. And we thank you so much for keeping us in the loop on the budget process. And we definitely want to watch that going forward. So look forward to continued conversations.
Thank you so much, Max, for the opportunity. I think it's really important that, we all stay on this budget together, as we always know, right? The famous quote is, follow the money. Well, you know what? We can direct the money so that, we can follow it for progress and for accountability in the end. We don't have to be behind the 8 ball where we're always trying to follow the money. The resources are going to be here. Let's make sure they get allocated to the appropriate things that are needed for Camden City government to be able to effectively govern and provide quality of services for its residents.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
I'll be at the parks all weekend.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, my friend. Such a pleasure.
Likewise.
Take care.
You too.